tall enough to reach the podium. Luckily I am. So.
We'll put it on.
Yeah. I actually was not tall enough for women to work. That was a little awkward, so I should have worn flats that day. I'm going to start with Matthew 11:28 through 30. It says, He doesn't want you striving so hard to achieve all on your own. He wants to provide you rest. You don't need to carry a heavy burden by yourself. Jesus will help you carry it. He will do the heavy lifting for you, so you aren't weighed down by the pursuit of perfection. So perfectionism is something I know a thing or two about. Those that struggle with perfectionism will know that it doesn't mean that we think we're perfect. Rather, we are in the constant struggle to be perfect. So I know that this is going to be very woman-driven, but I think that everyone can learn a little bit of a lesson from this. And I'm probably going to keep to my writing as much as I can so we can get out of here on time, or else I'll talk all day. So I have spent my entire life trying so hard to be perfect. For as long as I can remember, I had to be the perfect daughter, perfect wife, perfect employee, and perfect mother. I worked so hard to be the picture of perfection, I began to feel like I was not allowed to fail at anything, until the moment that I did. Several years ago, I was working a very successful job and quickly climbing the ladder. I was working 50 to 60 hours a week, trying to show everyone else up. I was convinced that everything I did had to be perfect. Because if it wasn't, then would they keep me? Would I no longer be deserving of my job? I didn't realize it at the time, but trying to be the perfect employee was turning me into a person I was not very proud of. I was hateful, negative, and unhappy. I lost my job that year because of the way I was treating others. And it was in that moment I realized that trying to be perfect was what was crippling me. It took a lot of self-reflection and a revival of my faith to turn myself around and to pull myself out of that depression. I had never failed at anything in my life, and I was beginning to let this failure define me and follow me into everything I would do. But what is perfect? I thought perfect was having a successful career, making a ton of money, looking good on social media. I had that, but I wasn't happy. I lost it, I still wasn't happy. So I ask again, what is perfect? My husband is a police officer. Everyone here knows him. Some of you are not familiar with law enforcement, but you may not know this, but those officers, they don't make very much money. Early in our marriage, I sometimes resented the fact that he took on that profession because I knew that it didn't pay enough to live up to the life that I felt like we should be living. Climbing the corporate ladder was never important to him, and I never understood that until recently. My husband has spent his entire life seeing the best in everyone. He knows that people make mistakes because he makes them too. Even on duty, he treats those he encounters with respect and doesn't persecute them for their imperfections. It was not until I hit rock bottom that I saw the beauty in the person that he is, and I strive to be more like him each and every day. He is not faultless or sinless, but he is more spiritually complete and whole than I've ever dreamt to be. Romans 3:23 says, all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Although I have always strived for perfection, self-doubt is something I've struggled with my entire life. I'm a woman living in a society where we compare ourselves to one another, not only in the workplace or in school, but in the school drop-off line, but now in the constant stream of social media. I'm the mother of a beautifully delicate teenage daughter. I'm now living in a world where I feel like I am in a constant battle to encourage her self-worth and to encourage her self-talk. But have you ever noticed that some of the best lessons we learn as mothers come from our own children? So I've been finding ways to build her up. I remembered a moment we shared years ago. So my daughter was about 8 or 9 when she went to her first elementary school dance. It was so adorable watching her get excited. However, I began to feel some dread when I realized she planned to bring her doll to the dance. Sorry, Megan. All I could think was, would the other kids make fun of her? Should I not let her take it? So I asked, do you really want to take that doll to the dance with you? I mean, what if the other kids don't bring theirs? She looked at me with such innocence, honestly with such grace, and said to me, Mama, why should I care what the other kids do? I felt floored by this response. She was right. Why do I care what others are doing or saying? Why do I care what my coworkers think? Why do I care what strangers say? Why? Because I'm human. And with time and age, we lose our innocence and begin to doubt ourselves as people, and especially as women. In my new spiritual life and in my new profession as a teacher, I still struggle with self-doubt and the need to be perfect in what I do and in what I say. I worry whether I make a difference. I worry if my lessons are good enough. I worry if I'm living up to others' expectations. I worry whether others will like me. I worry if I'm the best wife and mother I can be. It is in those moments of struggle that I have to stop and remember that my students do not expect me to come to class every day with a Mr. Feeney level life lesson. They just expect me. My husband does not expect makeup on and hair done every day. He just expects me. My kids do not expect perfection from me. They just expect me. Just me, just as I am, with all of my imperfections. No one expects me to be perfect, not even God. My mantra these days is not, how can I be perfect, but that I am okay just as I am. I listen to the song in church many Sundays, but now take heed of these words. Just as I am, though tossed about, with many a conflict, many a doubt, fighting the fears within without, O Lamb of God, I come, I come. God does not expect perfection from us, so why do we? Even on the hardest days, we have to find the light and the beauty in our imperfections. I will never be perfect at my job, or a perfect co-worker, perfect daughter, or perfect mother. And I will never be the perfect wife. But you know what? I'm not perfect, and that's okay.